What's good, people? I just thought I'd come on here today and talk a little bit about this and about that. Seeing as how it's my birthday. Yes, today is my birthday. I turned 64. And I feel good about being 64. I own every bit of it. I was working over the weekend. I was residing a portion of my lawn. It was all fucked up, and I was putting down some new sod. And I had a brother helping me, and I saw he was in like fantastic condition, man. He was slim. You could see he was an older cat like me in the face, but he was slim. He was muscular. And he was working. And I told him, my birthday was coming up. I told him I'd be 64. He said, 64? I said, yeah. He said, I just turned 70. I'll be 71 my next birthday. And I'm like, God damn, that made me feel good about, going on into my 70s. Knock on wood, if I should be so lucky. Because as you know, tomorrow ain't promised to none of us. But I feel good about being 64. I don't want to say lucky. I don't want to say blessed. I don't want to say either of those things because that's not what happened. I'm not lucky and I'm not blessed in any special way. Now, there's some Christians out there that say, yes, you is blessed. Whatever. I just feel like over the years, I made some decisions and I stuck by those decisions and hit those decisions, and they have caused me to be able to live a long, healthy life to where I can have a 64th birthday and still feel really good. There are some issues in everybody's health that doctors would like to see you, change. But overall, I feel real good about where I'm at. And I didn't beat myself up with drugs and alcohol and bad food over the years. And I made a decision to work out when I was very young and keep working out till I can't move anymore. That's helped a lot. I'm gonna work out as soon as I get done with this video. But yeah, so that's how I feel about turning 64. I seen a lot. I remember a lot. So when I come on here and I talk about shit, and I talk about issues, and I talk about things, it's a lot of it is coming from memory and past experiences and watching this country and how it treats its black citizens, one of which is me. I remember coming off the civil rights era, going into the 70s. I remember when MLK got killed and they burned the cities up. I remember that. I remember going into the 90s. I remember going into the 2000s. I remember the 80s and the crack epidemic and how the United States government polluted the black community. I remember a bunch of speeches by a bunch of white politicians talking about how they knew they were lying about this and knew they were lying about that, and all of this had to do with who rules, who gets elected. I remember hearing a lot of white politicians with my own ears now say these things. I remember things like affirmative action, when you had to have a certain number of black people working for you if you employed over a certain amount of people. I remember all of that. I remember quotas. I argued long and hard for affirmative action and quotas. I really did. I felt like there needed to be a mechanism that made sure that people hired and fired equally and fairly. I used to fight with white people like the devil for that shit and quotas. But they started doing away with that shit and started coming up with new terms to justify it, like reverse discrimination and shit like that. These are the terms they came up with. And now we got to do something called diversity programs. Okay? But that shit is for minorities. And minorities is anybody from white women on down. The only thing that's not a minority is a white man. And he's sitting at the top, still, with white women next to him. Black people, we've been pushed to the very fucking bottom because of this thing called minorities. And seeing as how there's more Hispanics in the country than there are black people now, according to their numbers, that pushes us even further down. And now they're importing a new class of white people. The Afghans are coming in. They're going to be right along with the Asians. But everybody is going to be ahead and on top of black people. I remember all that shit happening. I remember, what I'm saying is I remember when that first started. Started in the 80s when they started bringing over all the Vietnamese people from the Vietnam War. It started with the Cuban boat list in the 1980s when Fidel Castro told everybody who wanted to leave that they could fucking leave. Now look at South Florida. All of this in combination now is what helped, and blatant racism and discrimination against black people have driven black people straight into the bottom rung of society. Blatant racial discrimination and a hatred of all things black except what they could steal from us. I mean, culture, music, dance, athletics, or our athleticism, so that they can make money off of it. But other than that, right to the bottom we go. And here we sit. I understand why the income gap is so wide, because being 64, you remember. Like I said, I remember each one of these eras coming and going. We had an awakening in the 70s. We had an awakening in the 90s. We had another awakening in the 2010s with the conscious community. So, being 64 has taught me this about all of that. You take a little bit from all this time and all of this memory and this big database that you've accumulated over these decades, and you sift through and you get whatever good information that is in there that you can use, and you use it to better your people and your life. Coming into the 220s, you got a lot of people doing their shit on YouTube now, right? And a lot of them are putting out really good, solid information that you can get for free. You ain't got to buy nothing from none of them. You ain't got to buy nobody's courses that, ain't going to help you one way or the other. And, you ain't got to buy anybody's trinkets or Ogun spray. You ain't got to buy anybody's movies or CDs, because you can find out all that shit for free. You ain't got to buy nothing from anyone. You don't have to enroll your child in anybody's private school that you don't want to enroll them into. But you can take away all of the good information that's being put out there for free, and you can use it. Because that's what I've done. That's what I see a lot of people doing. And in the grand scheme of things, that's all the fuck you can do. Because when you listen to somebody who runs the numbers like Antonio Moore, or like somebody like a Kevin Samuels who tell you exactly what the data says, you know that most people can't afford that shit anyway, because most black people ain't making but $30,000, $40,000 a year. They ain't making but $30,000, $40,000 a year. So you got to use what information you can get for free to better yourself, so that you can take advantage of what is there, so that you can move forward a little bit, while at the same time being aware that white people ain't going to give you shit for free, so stay the fuck away from them. Ain't going to give you shit except a hard time. That's the only thing they'll give you for free. So, you take what, say, Dr. Umar Johnson says, and you get that information and you use it when you're dealing with the public school system and when they're trying to medicate your child or put your child in special education. You use the historical pieces put together by somebody like Tariq Nasheed to know a little bit about your history and the way white people really think about you. You ain't got to buy his CD, but the information on his CD is available to everybody. You go and you check out Antonio Moore and you realize just how rich white people are compared to you. And you stop fantasizing about getting there in one fell swoop. It ain't gonna happen. It's a long, long fucking road. You listen to people who tell you how to start businesses and how to run them, and because you ain't gonna really start a business. What you're gonna do is start a side hustle. You'll get an EIN, but if you're the only employee, then it's more of a hustle than it is a business. But still, there's a lot of tax write-offs in that hustle that you can use to invest in that hustle and turn it into a business, a real business, where you employ 2 or 3 people. The point I'm making is all the free information out there is there for the taking. So listen when people try to tell you shit. Sort out what you can agree with from what you don't agree with and use it to move forward. I'm thinking at the end of the day, that's the point. And if they get to sell you something or they get to make a little money on the side, well, then it's all good for them because the information that they're putting out there, I guess that's their hustle. The YouTubers, I mean. All you could get for free, use for free. Use your money where you need to use your money. Buy yourself a small piece of property and hold on to it. Improve it little by little. I mean, because that's all you got is a little. You got to be as resourceful as you can be and make what you got the best that it can be. God damn. Be as resourceful as you can be to make what you have as good as it can possibly be and try to increase its value. This is how you got to struggle when you black. Because nobody wants us here. You know, black people come from other parts of the world and a lot of times they are doing much better than we black Americans are. ADOS people, descendants of slavery, foundational black Americans, whatever the fuck you want to call us. Everybody's doing better than we are. Like I said, you can't afford to buy them courses and shit if you wanted to. I mean, seriously, if your marriage or your relationship is in trouble, you think you can afford counseling from Kevin Samuels? No. You got to get your head out. Y'all got to get your head out your asses and look at the big picture and think about what's really important. You know, niggas got to learn to understand. See, this is all from being 64 now. Niggas got to learn to understand that a pussy ain't going to feel but so good. At some point, you got to think of what's really important. And what's really important is your fucking livelihood and your peace of mind. I have been married 3 fucking times. And I loved every one of my wives. 2 of them didn't love me as much as I thought they did. The one I got now is a good woman and I love her dearly. So I would never cheat on her because I've been able to put that shit in its proper perspective. I really have. And I felt this way for a long time. Before I turned 50, I realized, what can these bitches really do for you except slow you down and derail your fucking progress? Unless she, the woman you're going to marry and she's going to contribute and y'all going to put your mind together and move forward. But just running around for the sake of running around, all that's doing is costing you money and slowing down your progress and really shortening your life. Because a black man, a lot of times, don't even make it out of his 50s, let alone almost halfway through his 60s. So when you're 40, 45, your life is 2/3 over with. Shit. Sometimes more than 2/3 overweight when you're in your 30s and 40s and you're a black man. So you can't be wasting your time sport fucking and trying to find that magical piece of pussy or trying to fuck bitches just because they look good or whatever the fuck we be thinking. Remember that. Sex ain't gonna get but so good. I don't care if it's, a woman looking for a man or a man looking for a woman. Sex ain't gonna feel. You gotta keep your motherfucking priorities straight. That's what you gotta do. That's what being 64 does for you. Yeah. So anyway, with that, y'all, I'm gonna get on this workout. I'm already running over. And happy birthday to me. See y'all on the next one. Peace.